What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which time zone you're currently watching me in right now. And if you don't know me, my name is Ryan. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you. Now, today I want to talk about the reasons why I feel like men cheat. And I want you all to keep in mind that I am just simply explaining, I am not excusing, because I don't believe that cheating is justifiable. I don't believe it's excusable. So I'm simply just passing on information, passing on knowledge. I'm not saying that these are the reasons why you should excuse it or why it should be excused, because that would mean that cheating is okay. And in no form do I believe that cheating is okay. It doesn't matter if it's a woman, a man, he, she, them, they. In my personal opinion, cheating is a no-no. It's a no-go. So without further ado, let's hop into it. So first and foremost, I feel like the reason why men tend to cheat is because the emotional needs aren't being met. Like if a man feels emotionally disconnected from his woman in a relationship, he feels like he's not getting emotional attention. He feels like his wants and his needs aren't being met. They're not being heard. It's going to require him to get them met somewhere. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, they typically get met by an ex or somebody who he had previous relations with. It's not all the time. I feel like it's just sometimes that I see more times than none. It's just that comfortability and that rapport that he already has with an ex or somebody who he's had history with on an intimate, emotional level that he might run back to and say, hey, so in my current relationship, I'm not receiving certain things that I feel like I might need and might want. And this other girl is fulfilling these wants and needs. So instead of just leaving the relationship, because I feel like that's always the solution. If you feel like your partner isn't meeting your wants or your needs, or they're not seeing you or hearing you, and you feel like it's just not working out, leave. But people tend to stay, and because they stay, but they still look for their needs and wants to be met outside the relationship, it's considered to be cheating, right? So emotionally, if his needs aren't being met, he's gonna go seek them somewhere else. Following behind that is lack of sexual fulfillment. So it's kind of along the same lines of the emotional aspect. If the sexual needs aren't being met, he's gonna go find it somewhere else. Not saying that women should just give sex anytime, all the time, because they're afraid that their man's gonna leave. Like if you genuinely aren't in the mood, I know sometimes women don't want to be intimate with their man if they just had a full-blown argument with them, or if they're upset at them, or if they're mad at them. Like why would you want to be sexual or intimate in that sense? But sometimes men don't typically see that aspect, or maybe you just don't have a high sex drive and you feel like sex once a week is good enough for you as a woman, but for your man, he wants it 3-4 times a week. And I'm not saying that that's too much. I'm not saying that what you do is too little as a woman. I'm just simply saying that there has to be a middle ground. If meeting his sexual needs, he might go consider finding that somewhere else to get met outside the relationship. So the next reason I feel like men typically cheat is because of low self-esteem. So if they're not feeling like they are being complimented enough, or they're not doing enough in their relationship, or they just have low self-esteem, they need an ego boost, well, where else are you going to find that if not inside your relationship? You're going to find it outside through another person. And it's easy when another person doesn't genuinely know who you are, because they only know the gist of you because they haven't had time to build a rapport and genuinely get to know you on a deeper level. So it's easy to go get that ego boost from somebody who doesn't know you, and this is all brand new. And it doesn't justify it, once again, because if you feel like you aren't getting your needs and your wants met in your relationship, talk to your partner about it. But if you are talking to your partner about it and it still isn't getting met, then leave. But if neither one are transpiring and you want to stay in that relationship, but you also need an ego boost, guess what you're going to do? Look for it outside of your relationship. Doesn't justify it, doesn't make it okay, just explaining the reason why. Next up is opportunity. Some men just feel like the opportunity has presented itself. So let's say there's a man who's in a relationship and he's going on a guys trip, all guys trip, just him and his friends, and they're all going on a vacation trip away from their partners, away from their girlfriends, away from their wives. Who's going to know what happened on that trip besides the guys that he went with? Not saying that all guys do this, but I'm simply saying that the opportunity has now presented itself, because who's going to know that he was unfaithful on the trip unless he comes back and says something, or unless there's actual evidence? The opportunity has presented itself in order for him to cheat. And you shouldn't have to worry or be concerned as a partner as if you should trust your partner or not, because you should be able to do that. But in some cases, unfortunately, you give trust and trust and trust, but you can't control what your partner does with that trust. And if they decide to take advantage of your trust because the opportunity has presented itself for their own selfish reasons to get what they need and what they want fulfilled, then there's nothing that you can do to control that, but it's just more so understanding that because the opportunity did present itself, this is what they decide to do rather than say, hey, you know what, I got a person at home who loves me, who cares for me. I should probably be faithful, right? You would think that would click, but a lot of times it doesn't, unfortunately. There's also men who do it for the thrill. They just seeking fulfillment. They're just seeking that thrill. So like at the beginning of a relationship, everything's exciting, everything's brand new. It's like a roller coaster ride. Every day is fun, every day is great until you get into the nitty gritty of a relationship and it starts becoming like you actually got to put in work. You actually got to be present. You actually got to show up. You actually got to have conversations. Like you actually have to be a partner. And when it gets to that point, some men are like, this isn't fun no more. And they go seek that thrill again of what was exciting as how it was at the beginning of the relationship. And therefore they go when it gets to that past that honeymoon phase, I should say, a lot of men are like, you know what? Let me start over with somebody new because that, in my opinion, is easier than to continue on this relationship. And then you have less sex as the relationship goes on, which goes through some men's mind. You have less sex and less intimacy and it's less this and less that. So why settle for this when you can go start over with somebody new and continue to get that thrill until there is no more thrill and then start over with somebody new again and then get that thrill? It gets redundant in my personal opinion. I don't feel like it's worth it. But I'm also not one of those guys who look for the thrill more so. So I feel like the next reason why men cheat, not to say that the previous reasons why men cheat can't and don't apply to women as well. I'm just simply stating that more times than none, men fall into those categories than women do. But I feel like women fall into this category that I'm about to speak about next, which is cheating because of revenge. Meaning you're in a relationship, your partner has cheated on you multiple times, and you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to cheat on my partner to see how they like it. I'm going to hurt them the way they hurt me. And your intentions is to purposely hurt this person. And you feel like by hurting them, you need to go out there and be intimate with somebody else and show that there's proof and show that you did what you did because, once again, your intention was to hurt them. And this is the reason why a lot of men cheat in their relationship because of revenge. They feel like they've been wronged in their relationship, or they didn't like what their girl said, or they didn't like what their girl did, or they felt disrespected. So this is the way that they can get the one up. This is the way that they can get revenge. This is the way they can say, hey, you know what? I don't need you. I can go find another woman to do everything that you're doing for me. You're replaceable more so. And women fall in this category too, but like I said before, I feel like it's more so men than it is women. And this is just my personal bias from my personal experience. Not saying that women don't do it. I'm saying I feel like more times than none, it's men. After that is commitment issues. I feel like a lot of men, especially in today's society, have commitment issues. And they can stem from trauma, they can stem from the past relationships, they can stem from them just genuinely are afraid to commit, or it's hard for them to stay monogamous. It's hard for them to have the thought of settling down with one person forever, or it's the fear of settling down with one person forever, or actually realizing that relationships take work, and that can be scary for them too. But regardless, commitment issues, I feel like it's very prominent in today's dating society. I feel like that's why a lot of relationships are failing, because people have commitment issues. And it's sad to see, because I feel like, and coming from a person who was avoidant and coming from a person who had to work through trauma and had to work through all things in order to have healthy relationships with not only other people, but with myself, like after you do the work, everything else becomes easy. And being committed to one person sounds like something that you want to do for the rest of your life, because this one person that you're with, you can't see anybody better than them. You can't see anybody you'd rather be with than them. Like, they make you feel loved and cared for and appreciated and adored. Like, finding that person is phenomenal. But in order to find that person, you have to be willing to commit to really get to know who you're with and start peeling back the layers to see if this is a realistic relationship for you. And I feel like before people get to that point, especially men, they tend to back out or tend to push the relationship away or tend to run away from the relationship, because committing is a lot. It's a big responsibility. Once again, doesn't excuse it, doesn't justify it, just explains it. The last reason why I feel like men cheat is because of psychological or addiction. Meaning they're either a narcissist, and this is how they feel like they're in control. This is how they feel like they have power. This is how they feel like They want to navigate due to their ego, wherever the case is. They feel like they can do what they want, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, narcissistic behavior, or they might have an addiction necessarily, feeling like this gives them a thrill. This is what they just addicted to cheating. They're just a serial cheater. There are people out there who are serial cheaters. And it's a psychological thing, it's an addiction, doesn't excuse it, but more so explains it. And there are other reasons, like underlying reasons why people cheat. These aren't all the reasons why, these aren't all the justifications as to, or the excuses that men typically come up with as far as cheating, but I feel like these are the main ones. I believe it was 8 or 9 of them that I went over through this entire video. But if you all have any more to add, please feel free to do so in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, please like the video. I hope that the information that I gave you all helps. Please keep in mind that this does not excuse the behavior. It doesn't justify cheating, doesn't make it okay, doesn't do any of those things. It just simply explains why men cheat. But I hope you all have a good day. Thank you so much for being here. Depending on which time zone you're in, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. And I'll see you all in the next video.